I hate to say it, but I think Carl Radke's Softbar concept is going to be a flop. Let's talk about it. By the way, I'm KJ Miller. I'm a founder, lecturer, and content creator. I love talking about all things business and pop culture. If you like any of that, be sure to subscribe. Now, let's get into it. Okay, before we jump in, let me address a few things. Number one, this is not my usual filming location. I am in my guest bedroom. This is a closet behind me. Let's all adjust. Number two, I have been gone from YouTube for like 3 weeks because I have been traveling. I got promoted at work. That'll be a different video. So I've been traveling a lot more for work. My daughter had a birthday. I was traveling for that. I'm traveling this week. It's just been tough, but I'm going to get back into giving you 2 videos a week. I promise, or at least I promise to do my best. So now that that's out of the way, let's talk about Carl Radke's business, Softbar. In case you missed it, first of all, in case you don't know who he is a cast member of Summer House, a Bravo TV show. He's one of the OG cast members, so he's been there literally for 10 years. And over the course of those 10 years, I did not watch from the very beginning. I think I jumped in at like season 6 or something. I don't know. But we have seen his struggles with addiction. And in the last few years, he actually got sober. So he no longer drinks. He no longer does cocaine, which was, I believe, the drug he was addicted to. And while he was going through the process of getting sober, he was working for his friend Kyle's alcohol company. And Kyle is also a cast member on the show. That company is called Loverboy. And Kyle was very supportive in creating a non-alc version of the product because at the time, I think Carl was still working for him. I think he's still an investor and still involved somehow, but maybe not still an employee. I don't know. It's a little murky. But the point is, he made this non-alc version, and the story he tells about why he wanted to pitch this soft bar concept, which I will tell you what it is, was basically that he had this non-alc lover boy, but didn't have points of distribution for it like bars, really, right? Because like bars sell drinks, alcoholic drinks, and this is a non-alcoholic drink. So he felt like, where can people go to drink this product? So he had the concept of Softbar. So let's look at the Softbar website just so we can all get up to speed on how they're pitching it. Okay, so when you go to the site, it says Softbar is a mindful bar and cafe offering an elevated experience without the influence of alcohol. We're open early to late and provide premium functional coffee and non-alcoholic cocktails and light bites curated from our neighborhood. Come as you are. And right below that, it says own a piece of Softbar because they are inviting you to invest. Invest in a powerful lifestyle brand platform with multifaceted revenue sources and significant corporate value. Okay, that's a lot. But basically, back to the concept. This is a mindful bar that does not serve alcohol. And if you go and watch the latest episode of Summer House, Carl, he's hosting basically like a pop-up for Softbar because they still haven't opened the space yet. So he's hosting a pop-up and he gives this speech. And in the speech, he tells that story I told about having the non-alc lover boy, but not really having a point of distribution for it. Now, let me just say before I get into my analysis of why I do not have high hopes that this is going to be a successful business, I am not living a sober lifestyle, right? Like I do not have a problem with alcohol. And so there is a big part of this journey that I cannot relate to. And I absolutely understand that. And so I'm going to give my perspective as a CEO who has launched both successful businesses and unsuccessful businesses, also as a business school lecturer who spends a lot of time thinking about business and strategy and why things will or won't be successful. I'm going to offer my opinion through that lens. I very much understand the lens I don't bring to it is the one that Carl brings to it, which is someone going through a sober journey. Okay, so I want to get that out of the way. But so often what I say to my students, both my students in business school, my students who take my course, Startup Starter Kit, people that I've mentored in the past, what I always start with is, what is the problem you are solving? And then I try to really dig into that and really try to get them to understand, okay, if this is the problem for you, is it a problem for other people, right? Let's figure out if this problem that you feel so viscerally is a problem for others that they're looking to get solved, so we can understand if there's real demand for this thing that you want to launch before you launch it, before you spend your money on it. With that in mind, let's again take a look at what Carl Radke said. Okay, so I just went back and rewatched the clip where he's giving this speech and talking about how he came up with this idea just to make sure I am not misrepresenting him. So, what he says when he's giving his speech is, again, when he came up with Loverboy, he was at a store where it was being distributed and had an epiphany, his word, epiphany, that there was no place where you could sit and relax and enjoy Loverboy non-alc. So then he hit it off with his co-founder, a man named Brian, and started talking about his journey and realized that he and other people like him wanted spaces where they could, relax, unwind, enjoy without the influence of alcohol. He then continues, not just people on sober journeys, but people like pregnant women, he also says. And so really and truly, the concept is a space for people who aren't drinking for whatever reason to come and enjoy and relax and have a space that is welcoming and meant for them as non-drinkers. Here's the problem I see with that problem as stated. Again, I am not on a sobriety journey, so I don't have experience with that, but I have gone through dry spells, dry Januaries, whatever, what have you. And in my experience with that, and also in my experience watching my friends who are sober for whatever reason, it doesn't seem like what they're looking for. And in those moments, the thing I was looking for was not the ability to recreate my drinking experiences with non-alcoholic beverages, right? Because, if that's what I want to do, sure, I can buy a non-alcoholic beer or a non-alcoholic wine and sip it at home. But really what I'm looking for is other opportunities to fill my time. So, whether that is taking up a new hobby, maybe I start painting, maybe I start knitting, whether that's finding different ways to get together with my friends and do different activities, going rock climbing, going, hiking. Like what I wasn't looking for in those sort of like dry spells. And again, just what I have seen communicated from my friends who are sober is that what they're looking to do is occupy their time with things other than drinking, not occupy their time with drinking non-alcoholic beverages. So that's the first problem that I see. I think there is a bit of a disconnect, at least again, in my experience and what I've seen, in what sober people are actually looking for. I feel like, yes, there is the problem of what am I going to do with my time now that I'm no longer drinking and I'm no longer using these substances? But the solution of, I'll just do what I was doing before, but remove the alcohol isn't the solution that at least I feel like I've seen people gravitate towards. So that's the first issue I see. But even taking it a step back and talking about the very first problem that Carl named, which was there wasn't a place for Loverboy specifically, like Loverboy could be distributed to a store, but there wasn't a place for it to be distributed to a bar. That sounds like a Loverboy problem, right? Like a corporate Loverboy brand problem. That's not a personal problem. Like, again, if I'm living a sober lifestyle, figuring out where to find Loverboy specifically, non-alcoholic Loverboy specifically, feels like such a specific problem that such a small group of people are going to have. And by the way, every restaurant that I go to now offers mocktails, including like pre-canned mocktails, literally every single one. So maybe finding Loverboy specifically non-alc might be difficult, but that I don't think is a problem for the vast majority of people. I don't think they're thinking this is the deal breaker for me, that this restaurant only has this other non-alcoholic spritz and not Loverboy non-alcoholic spritz, right? So right off the bat, I feel like the problem that he described isn't a problem that people have. It's a problem that maybe that brand had, and maybe he as an employee for that brand was thinking about. Then the other problem I see with this concept, and I say this as a person who drinks, is who is going to be going with you, the non-drinker, to this bar, right? It's either going to be friends who don't drink or friends who do drink, probably a bit of a mix of both, right? And so then the question becomes like, how is everyone in the party going to have a good time? Let's say you're sober and everyone you go with to this soft bar is also sober. Then you're all on the same page and you're all, I guess, super happy to be there drinking your non-alcoholic drinks. But again, based on the friends I have who are sober, it's unlikely that all of your friends are also sober. That just isn't likely. Now, maybe for some people, that's what they have to do. They have to cut out every single person in their life who in any way consumes alcohol or drugs at all. Like that's just what they have to do in order to stay clean. Cool. That is not what most people do. And again, a lot of people who are sober are not sober because they have a problem. They're just sober by choice. So their friends still drink. So it's unlikely that they'd be going to a place like this only with other sober people. But if you're going with people who do drink, how often are they going to want to go to this place with you, right? What I'm trying to articulate is that I think there's going to be a real repeat problem. So by that, I mean, I, as a person who does drink, if my sober friend said, I really want to go to this soft bar, I think it looks cute, I think it looks cool, they don't serve alcohol, will you come with me? Of course I'll say yes. I will say yes to support my friend. But I'm not going to say yes every week, right? Particularly because looking at, I haven't seen a menu, but just looking at how they were previewing everything on the episode, everything looks very premium and very crafted. The bartenders were using tongs to place like little kiwi slices and everything in every drink. It looks like it's supposed to be a premium experience, which means I am paying a premium price point. Maybe I'm not spending $20 on a drink the way I would for a cocktail in Brooklyn, that had alcohol in it, but I'm still probably spending 12, 13, 14. To me, that is still alcoholic drink money, okay? Particularly if I'm having 2, 3 of them. If I'm dropping $45 on some drinks and I don't have a bit of a buzz by the end of it, that's not an experience I'm going to keep coming back for me. I love my homegirl, but again, they serve mocktails everywhere. So you want a mocktail and I want a cocktail. Seems to me we got to go someplace that serves alcohol. That's where we're both going to be able to get what we need out of the situation. That's the place that's going to end up getting our repeat business, not Softbar. And again, the reason I think the repeat business is going to be an issue is because most sober people have non-sober friends. They just do. I haven't done the statistics to look at it, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Okay. I'm pretty sure I'm right. It's certainly true for Carl. All of his friends drink. He's the only sober one. And as the cast says, I found the cast confessionals to be pretty funny in this episode because basically all of his friends who love him very much and want to support him were like, I don't see how this is going to be successful, but I wish him well. And I think they are all intuiting the same things that probably a lot of us are intuiting when we look at this, which is, what's the long-term play? Yes, people are going to be willing to try it. People are going to be willing to go because it looks interesting, and maybe because you've been on TV for 10 years, they want to support you. But at the end of the day, when I want to go out with my friends and have a good time over dinner and drinks, I want those drinks to be drinks. And if you're sober, I think you probably understand that, or you've made the decision not to go out with your friends who still drink. So I just see there being a repeat problem here. The fourth and final thing I want to talk about that I think is kind of a dead giveaway that this thing is not going to be very successful is that he is crowdfunding in order to launch the business. And I'm very sorry to say, but if you've been on TV for 10 years and you cannot find outside professional investors who want to invest in your business, that is a red flag, because there are plenty of investors who love throwing money behind a celebrity, but they still are going to do their due diligence and ask themselves, okay, what's the return on our investment going to be? And restaurants are notoriously difficult. Restaurants close all the time. Margins are so low. And most restaurants, the thing that keeps them afloat or does a big part of keeping them afloat is the alcohol, because alcohol is your highest margin product by far. And so you most certainly went to investors trying to get this thing funded and still came up short. And to me, that is a huge red flag, Look at all of these people, these celebrities and reality TV stars opening restaurants. Every last one of them has found somebody willing to put some money behind their concept, and you haven't. That is a red flag. So for all of those reasons, I cannot see this business in its current concept being successful. But let's talk about how it could be successful. And I've got two thoughts. The first is, I really do think we have to decenter the drinking part of this concept. Honestly, even calling it Softbar, I think we need to center some other activity that is just fun for people to come and do. And then the fact that alcohol isn't served maybe doesn't feel like such of a loss, right? So I don't know if it's getting in on the pickleball craze. I don't know if there's some rock climbing again. Like, I don't know, but if it could be an activity centered business that also caters to the non-drinking community by making sure that all of the beverages offered are mocktails and curated drinks without alcohol, that could be interesting. I'm not saying it would definitely be successful, but I think making the draw the alcohol-free drinks, that's just not going to be a draw for most people. So we need an activity that will be a draw. And we all know pickleball is still the fastest growing sport and people love it. And so maybe there's a way to open up a pickleball court or pickleball business that serves mindful drinks. And, you know, and I still, to me, if I'm going to be playing pickleball, I still want to be able to go get a beer or whatever. But look, that's one concept. Concept number two, and I could understand why this would maybe fly in the face of everything Carl is trying to do. But concept number two is simply to add alcohol to the menu, still make the focus all of the mindful non-alcoholic drinks that you have, but throw some wine and some beer on the menu. You don't have to have a full bar in order for it to feel like a space where if you're coming with someone who does drink, there's something for everyone. And then what your sort of value prop is that you put way more thought and care and attention and detail into your mocktails than other bars do. Because other bars, they might have a few options, but in general, that's not their focus. For you, it is the focus. You're still offering very curated, very mindful, non-alcoholic options. But for the people who come who do drink, you've got wine and beer and everybody can be happy. Again, I don't know if that will be successful either. I'm just saying in my mind, I can see either one of those two things doing a better job at addressing the issue that you've stated, which is wanting to have spaces for people who aren't drinking that feel like welcoming and meant for them, but creating those spaces in a way that still feels enticing and interesting to people who do drink, because the people who do drink are still friends with the people who don't drink. Right? And so it's almost like we got to figure out how to bridge that gap. Those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think. Do you agree? Do you think I'm way off base? Do you think this is going to be a hit? Frankly, I hope it's a hit. Carl is a really nice guy, or at least he seems like a nice guy on the show. I never want an entrepreneur to fail. So I hope he proves me wrong, but I would love to know what you think about it. Let me know in the comments. And as always, if you like this sort of content, be sure to subscribe. I'll see you next time.